Welcome into the show, everybody. This is the Farzy Show, presented by our dear friends at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Still in glow. I'm still in my afterglow stage right now of the James Harden trade finally happening, because that cloud is no longer over our heads. And we're going to get into the top 5 things about that trade. And I was thinking about it yesterday, and I was like, there's a multitude of things that are great about this trade. Wrote them down. Going to present them to you today. 5 best things about the James Harden trade. So beautiful. Sean Desai yesterday got into Hassan Reddick, the closer of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's something I've been referring to him as over the last couple of weeks, and actually got mentioned yesterday during the press conference. I think it was Dave Zangaro that asked the question about Hassan Reddick. Just coming into the fourth quarter, multiple sack fourth quarters in the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. Just getting the job done. You blink, he gets a cast off his hand, and all of a sudden he's out there amongst the sack leaders in the NFL. At least in those games since the cast has been off. We'll get into that conversation. We'll get into the conversation about what this Eagles defense is going to do with Kevin Byard and what the expectation is going forward. And how about this? What if I told you that the trade deadline was going to come and go in the NFL? And on that day, yesterday, trade deadline in the NFL. What if I told you that there had, it was the second busiest day within a season since 1990, okay? The second busiest day within a season since 1990, and the Eagles were not involved in a trade. What if I told, that is not Howie Roseman. And guys that supposedly the Eagles were interested in, or the Eagles were at least interested in kicking the tires on certain players, they're definitely interested in the position, got moved. All that happened yesterday. And the Eagles, no, they're fine. Kentavious Street got moved. All right? Kentavious Street got moved, but that was the day before the deadline. Here's where we're at as of yesterday, okay? Chase Young goes to the 49ers for a third-round pick. He teams up again with Nick Bosa. Former Eagles cornerback Rasul Douglas, he gets moved yesterday. So the Eagles were looking for supposedly for cornerback depth. Apparently not. Donovan Peoples-Jones goes to the Lions. Guard Ezra Cleveland goes to the Jaguars. And Montez Sweat goes to the Bears. So the now Montez Sweat cost a second-round pick. Chase Young cost a third-round pick, so he's with, like I said, Nick Bosa now. Sweat goes out there to the Bears, and the Eagles, who could have used some more help with the edge rushing situation, no, they're good. They're good. Instead, Chase Young goes to the 49ers. Helps out that defensive line like they need it. And I would have given up a third-round pick. I mean, the Eagles can't forget the Eagles have a bevy of picks next year. And we also can't forget that if Howie's going to be making moves, Howie's going to be making moves to acquire picks as well. So you talk about a third-round pick, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. I found it interesting that not only were there a lot of moves yesterday, not just the quantity, but the specific people moved. The positions moved yesterday. Eagles supposedly were after some offensive line depth. Didn't get it. Eagles supposedly were after some defensive line depth, specifically at the end position, edge rusher position. Didn't get it. Very surprised. I wasn't surprised that they didn't get a linebacker. I wasn't necessarily surprised that they went after a running back. When I listened to things off yesterday, things I thought or positions the Eagles would be going after, I thought those would at least be the positions that they'd be kicking the tires on, so to speak. I am just surprised that Howie Roseman didn't get anything done. Very surprised, especially when you do consider the quantity of picks, not just the quality, but the quantity of picks, trades made yesterday, players acquired, players dealt. The Eagles were sitting on the sideline for it. The Eagles are at 7-1. I'm not freaking out over no deadline moves. All I'm saying is I am surprised. I am very surprised to see that. We'll start it off with the Eagles today, so we'll keep it right here. You have a time of reflection. Play the Cowboys this late in the season, little time of reflection. And I'm going through the season and thinking about what could be done different. And if I was to change one thing from the first 8 games of the season to right now, wave a magic wand, it would go back to Hassan Reddick. And it wouldn't necessarily be anything different with him. It wouldn't be like, oh, he's got to sit out first couple weeks of the season. No. I really think about it. And if I could change one thing with this team, imagine having Hassan Reddick on all cylinders, healthy. I mean, yeah, it'd be great to have Kevin Byard here all season and have him mature with this secondary and continue to take steps forward. And that's the other thing that also helps you wrap your head around the trade deadline is the fact that it wasn't like Howie did nothing leading up to the deadline. He obviously brought in Kevin Byard, but he didn't do anything on the day, which is still a little surprising. But back to Hassan Reddick. If I could give Hassan Reddick a healthy hand, a healthy thumb from the start of the season to now, I feel like this defense would look a lot different. And I know even when he's been healthy, you've seen teams put up points, like the Commanders put up 31 points this time around on you. So that definitely is not exactly a great thing. But Hassan Reddick has been such an impact player since being here. Since his first year at the Eagles, last year, now in his second year here, he has been a phenomenal impact player and a guy that should be getting consideration, especially last year, for Defensive Player of the Year. And when you get him back to 100% healthy, he immediately shows you that he can have that kind of impact on a game. Multiple sack games, as I mentioned, and being able not just to get those sacks, but get them in clutch moments when you need your defense to come up with stops, when you need to kill all momentum. He's out there bringing down the quarterback when they're trying for their last-minute desperation heaves, their last-minute desperation plays. Hassan Reddick is right there to slam the door shut on him, and he's done it time and time again. And yesterday, Sean Desai was asked about Hassan Reddick and what he brings to the table as that quote-unquote closer. And again, this is NBC Sports Phillies. Dave Zangaro asked the question, but he got asked, Sean Desai gets asked the question, hey, how has he developed as your closer? And here's how Sean Desai answered the question.
You guys? Again, I don't know what he's turned into. I think I just know the mentality that he's had. And I think, like I said, a lot of those guys up front, they want to have that mentality that when it's time to go, they want to go. And that was a game there where it was frustrating on a lot of levels, where they were getting the ball out so quick. And then when we had a chance to put our guys in some positions to go make some plays, and, he was one of them that did a great job. And we had a lot of other pressures that kind of didn't maybe show up on the sacks sheet. But, we impacted the guy a little bit there, and, we'll continue to get better there. So I think Hassan's done a great job of embracing that role.
Here's what's amazing. So he's got 6.5 sacks now on the season. He's had the cast off for four games. 6.5 sacks on the season. Leads the team. Just like that. Leads the team. Here's the way it breaks down sack-wise for the Eagles. You have Hassan Reddick with 6.5, Josh Sweat with 5.5, Jalen Carter 3.5, Nicholas Morrow 3, all coming in one game. Jordan Davis has 2.5, and then Nolan Smith, Marlon Tuipulotu, and Fletcher Cox each have 1. Milton Williams, Brandon Graham have a half a sack this season. This is what's even – so he leads the team in sacks, and now he is second already in tackles for loss. Nicholas Morrow leads that pack with 8. Hassan Reddick has 7. Just like that. You blink, and it's all coming in the fourth quarter for Hassan Reddick. It is spectacular to see the type of immediate impact he has had since he can return to 100%. I'll say 95, because nobody in the NFL is 100%. 95% healthy. That's the way it is for Hassan Reddick. And I love to see that kind of impact from that guy. So if I could change one thing about the first 8 games of the season, other than the fact that you lose to the Jets, other than the turnovers, but from the start of the season to now, it would be healthy. Yeah, if I had a magic wand, I'd definitely go back and change the turnovers of the Jets game. But in terms of the start of the season to now, that's what I would change. Because I also don't think that you're losing that game to the Jets either, by the way, if you have Hassan Reddick firing on all cylinders. I think you're in a little bit of different standing after that. So that's one thing I'd go back and change. The other thing that you can certainly look at is maybe addressing the safety position a little sooner, like the offseason. The Titans weren't going to be in sell mode. So that's the thing. The Titans weren't going to be in sell mode from the start of the year. The Titans were going to just, let's see how this year goes. And it's not going great. So all of a sudden, Kevin Byard gets dealt. And Kevin Byard comes to Philadelphia, where he teams up yet again with A.J. Brown. And A.J. Brown says, hey, man, it's a little different here. You're a winner now. Welcome to the party, pal. Not a great game. Didn't have a breakout play. Almost had an interception against the Commanders, did Kevin Byard. But still, I think he's going to be a sight for sore eyes in the secondary. Plus, the one thing that this does indirectly is it allows you to use Sidney Brown as that heat-seeking missile they were talking about in the preseason. It allows them to use him in the slot. It allows them to use him as a blitzer. It allows to use him in the box. I love that. And if you can channel what that young guy does best right now, and you can unleash the fury that is Sidney Brown with still having help at the safety position with Kevin Byard, a 2-time All-Pro, by the way, I think that is tremendous for this defense. So, again, even though you go through the trade deadline day, and you don't make a move, you still got better as a defense leading up to the last possible moment you could make trades. The last possible week you could make trades, I should say. So Kevin Byard coming in here obviously helps your safety position, and then it also frees up a guy like Sidney Brown to help you as well with the aggression that he can show on the football field. Kevin Byard almost had an interception against Commanders, went right through his hands, unfortunately, but Sean Desai did break down the first game as an Eagle by Kevin Byard, and here's what he had to say.
Yeah, he's been such a great leader. He's kind of stepping in and really taking ownership of a lot of things and really putting the time in to work and learn the defense and do all the stuff that you would expect a pro to do, and he's been the consummate pro, and so he's been tremendous. And he had a good game. He's solid, and, I got to do a better job putting him in some different spots and helping him, and he'll continue to get better. And that's the great part about this is, we're into week 9 here, and we're still growing. We're still not a final product, and I think that's an exciting part that we keep climbing each week.
I would 1,000% agree with him. I'm expecting big steps forward as the season goes on and as he becomes more acclimated. And then the other thing is, obviously, we all hope they beat the Cowboys, and I think they will beat the Cowboys, but now you have to focus on this. You go through the bye week, Kevin Byard's going to have a whole week to familiarize himself with the game plan, the playbook, maybe even teammates, assuming he's going to be at the NovaCare complex a little bit. Maybe he gets away for a minute, you know what I mean? Then he comes back and he hopefully digests everything and just goes through it. And then your Eagles are going to go into that really rough stretch of the schedule and be the best possible safety he could be for this team. Here's that schedule once more. Dallas, bye week, then KC in Kansas City, then Buffalo and San Francisco in South Philly, and then go to Dallas for a Sunday night kickoff. Good times. That's what it looks like right now. I know I walked you guys through the deep, dark recesses of my brain yesterday. I got interviewed yesterday, and they're asking me about, the next 5 games and all that. And I was just like, it's just crazy to think about how great the Eagles have been this year. With the one exception against the Jets. It's crazy to think about them being the number 1 team in the NFL, sole possession of first place in the entire National Football League. And then there's like 2 or 3 bad weeks, and all of a sudden you're looking up at the Dallas Cowboys. But that doesn't happen over the next 2 to 3 weeks unless you beat the Cowboys on Sunday. Now, did you hear this? Micah Parsons is one of many players that has their own podcast. Micah Parsons is a phenomenal player. No denying it. Every ounce of respect for him. Micah Parsons did something that I have never heard done before. And I can't play it for you. But on his podcast, he put out the call to Cowboys fans going to Lincoln Financial Field Sunday afternoon. Cowboys Nation, I need you. Cowboys Nation, we're going to need you down there in Philly. We're going to need you out there, Cowboy Nation. That's what he did on his podcast. I've never heard that before. And now that I have heard it, I find it hilarious. Two immediate reactions, if you haven't seen this yet. 2 immediate reactions to it. One, oh, that's adorable. He thinks Cowboy fans are actually going to come out in droves to Lincoln Financial Field in South Philly. That's so cute that he thinks that. And then second, that's not how they are. That's not how Cowboys. Hey, look, I've been to Dallas many times, and I have been amongst the actual Cowboys fans from Dallas, from the Metroplex. Okay, I've been down there, and you know what? It's a nice atmosphere. It was better at the old stadium. It was a little bit more electric. It was a little bit more palpable. Okay, now it definitely has the feeling of going to a mall to watch a football game. That's kind of what it feels like. So I wouldn't say it's a home field advantage by any means. But to say that Cowboys fans are going to come out in droves or expect them to, it's comical to me. Because there's no group of Cowboys fans coming into South Philadelphia, donning their stars, and going out there in the Lincoln Financial Field and expecting to be all rah-rah, waving the pom-poms for their boys. You're going to have, Cowboys fans are going to be there. They always go. They always get every shot of them, during the game. Oh, look at this guy. He's excited. Look at this guy. He's really sad. Mostly sad. So for me, I just find it hilarious and also adorable. But I have never heard it. I never even thought about it before. Think about it. I have never heard of a Cowboys fan base taking over a stadium. I've heard them because there's bandwagon Cowboy fans all over the place. I don't think Cowboys, we used to talk about it all the time. Steelers fans travel, Eagles fans travel. They're great fan bases that travel. Cowboys fans don't travel. Cowboys fans just exist in other areas because they jumped on the bandwagon. That's what I'm not just saying that, bandwagon Cowboys. I'm not saying that's like physical evidence. As to that being the truth. So for me, I just find it hilarious that he thinks people are going to come out in droves. People are going to travel away from Dallas. They're going to go away from Fort Worth. They're going to go away from Irving. They're going to go into South Philly. And they're going to show up for their team. Ain't happening. Never, ever in my lifetime, previous to my lifetime, have I ever heard of Cowboys fans coming into South Philadelphia and taking over. Oh, they really showed up. I never heard ever a team talk about, like they have with the Eagles fans, the Eli Manning for the specific example. Well, my own guys couldn't hear the snap count because there's a lot of Eagles fans here at MetLife Stadium. I've never heard. Well, there was a lot of Cowboys fans here. They couldn't even hear my snap count because there's so many Cowboys fans came in to. Never. We got to prepare because the Cowboys fans are coming. Never heard it. You know why? Because that's what you miss out on as a bandwagon fan. It's not in your blood to help your team out on Sunday. It's not in your blood. I couldn't believe he was doing it. I was like, this is adorable. He thinks he could get that good for the Cowboys? That's great. If you haven't heard it, it's worth the social media search to punch it up there. I'll get dinged if I play it because it's what do you call it? I think it's owned by BR, but whatever. It's worth a chuckle. If you want to start your day off with a little bit of a chuckle after the show, just punch that up for yourself and enjoy it. Be like, oh, he's so cute with his thoughts and his thinking. With that being said, I respect the hell out of him. He's a hell of a football player. Yeah. So moving on. I was a little disappointed yesterday with Sean Desai. We didn't get an update as to whether or not Jalen Carter is feeling better. The last we heard was from Nick Sirianni yesterday, 2 days ago now, saying that Jalen Carter was feeling better, that Jalen Hurts was feeling better. Jalen Carter has the back issue. Hopefully a little hot tub gets him going. I did see him. That's also worth a search as well on the social media. The Eagles rookies all dressed up for Halloween. Pretty adorable. I couldn't make out what Jalen Carter was. I couldn't make out. All I know is there was one guy dressed up like a very sad Batman. Like he wanted to be Superman, but his mom had already bought the Batman suit, so he had to be Batman. That was the kind of thing that's what it looked like. Jalen Carter, obviously the Eagles are going to need to be healthy for this game. I think he's playing. I said as much yesterday that he's going to be playing, so I'm looking forward to that. Kevin Byard's maturation, I've said that. Hassan Reddick, obviously. The Eagles defense coming off a rough game against the Washington Commanders. They have a great ability here to bounce back. They have a great opportunity here to bounce back and not have those bad games in a row. It's happened throughout the season where we've seen some bad games, but ultimately when push comes to shove, they're able to come up with that stop or they're able to come up with that interception. They're able to force that turnover. They're able to get the sacks, like I mentioned earlier, with 6.5 sacks coming from Hassan Reddick. It's great. But in this game in particular here against the Cowboys, they're going to need every ounce of that. And this is one of those games, unfortunately, that we talk about throughout the season. When the Eagles are 7-1, when the Eagles are 5-0, whatever. When the Eagles are going through their great swings, we always talk about those games against upper echelon teams. The Dolphins, there's an example of that. There's an example of getting that turnover at the end of a game. Darius Slay coming up with that interception. Reed Blankenship coming up with the interception this past week. But when we look at games like that against the upper echelon teams like against the Dolphins, those are the games that we talk about after you improve on your undefeated record. And that's what we talk about when you improve on your one-loss record. Those are the games we talk about in that how are you going to play against those better teams in the NFL? How are you going to make those same mistakes? Because guess what? You can't make those same mistakes. You can't have 3 turnovers. You can't have 3 interceptions. You can't have 4 turnovers. You can't continue to lose the turnover battle. Sure, you can get the big play at the end of the game to help solidify your win and get that big turnover, but you can't continue to lose the turnover battle. You can't continue to have problems in the red zone if you're the Philadelphia Eagles and expect to win against teams like the Dallas Cowboys, who, although might not be upper echelon like the Dolphins or the 49ers, still, when it comes to a divisional game against a good team, that is a, for lack of a better term, upper echelon matchup. It's not a NFC championship possibility, not the way I look at it. But it is definitely a game where the stakes are higher, especially when you're trying to really separate yourself from the rest of the pack. And you look at the team that really has the biggest threat at beating you in the NFC East, and this is no surprise because this was all the talk before the season. Who's the biggest threat? Well, obviously it's the Cowboys. Giants were never a concern. Washington was never a concern. It's the Eagles, and it's the Cowboys. Simple as that. So when you look at this particular game and you look at what's at stake with that doomsday scenario I laid out for you for the way things could be in 3 weeks, yes, it's an upper echelon game. You're not going to be able to win this game if you lose a turnover battle. You're not going to be able to lose this game if you do have 3 interceptions. You're not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to win this game if you have 4 turnovers. You're not going to be able to win this game if you can't score in the red zone. You're not going to win this game if you fumble the football twice within the 3-yard line. That's 14 points you're leaving out there on the board. Not going to happen. This is a team that's not going to allow those kinds of mistakes. Defensively, especially. Offensively, here's the saving grace of it all. Offensively, they can give you the football a couple times. That's the best part about it. You might not even lose the turnover battle if you have a couple turnovers. You might actually draw even. That was a little saving grace I had while watching this Cowboys team throughout the year, especially in the games that they've got roughed up. Those 2 losses against the Cardinals there, and then losing to the 49ers. You could cause some problems there for Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. It's going to be I as of right now, during that interview yesterday, it got me thinking because I was asked for my prediction, and I'm like, oh, on a Tuesday, it's difficult to give your prediction for Sunday. I haven't seen the first injury report yet and all that. As of right now, I'm in the realm of a 31-27 Eagles win. Defensively, that could change. Depending on what goes on with Jalen Carter, it could change. It could be a 24-17 type game. Could be both teams turn the football over. You're losing drives here. You're losing opportunities to even get field goals out of drives here. So I still see it being a close game. I think most people have it as a close game. As much as I'd love to wave the pom-poms and say it's going to be 50-0 and all that stuff, not happening. Cowboys are a good football team. Eagles have to find a way to make sure that they do what they seem to always do, which is choke. Be nice to see the Eagles win against the Cowboys, against Dak Prescott in South Philly, and not just beat a guy named Ben DiNucci. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Not just beat Cooper Rush, who gave him all they could handle last year. That's what I'll keep my fingers crossed for. All right. Let's get into this conversation here regarding the 76ers and Tyrese Maxey. First, let's hear from Maxey. This is Maxey yesterday at practice. I didn't see who got this, but you could see it. I left his name in there. This is Tyrese Maxey talking about how he texted. By the way, let me just apologize for a second. I don't know why. It's not even for me. It's basketball. I don't know why when NBA teams, this isn't just a Sixers thing. This is an NBA-wide thing. I don't know why NBA teams have their players do media hits from the court during practice. And you just hear the basketballs dribbling in the background. You hear the sneakers squeaking. When you have offices right there, just walk into an office with the media, the backdrop, and the microphones, and the recorders, and the cameras. Just do it right there. It's like one of my biggest pet peeves, and like stupid things that no one else thinks about. That's what I think about. So anyway, here's Tyrese Maxey yesterday talking about texting James Harden and how much he loves him and PJ Tucker.
Man, I texted told him I love him, told him I appreciate him. Because, one thing that he really installed in me is confidence. And I've always been a confident person, but he made me be even more confident than I already was. And all I can do is appreciate him for that. And he took me under his wing, taught me a lot of things as far as just being a professional in this league and how things go. So I appreciate him. I love him. Same thing with Tuck. Love him.
Everybody loves everybody. That's great. One thing I will say about the whole Harden situation here, and it'd be better if he wasn't here, and I agree with that. But if I'm looking for positive, like the negative far outweighs the positive, okay? But the way it ended, no, I'm not talking about last year against the Celtics. I'm talking about the way it ended, meaning yesterday, the trade at 2:01 in the morning, at least being announced by Adrian Wojnarowski. One of the best things about this is that you got these picks in return. And we'll go through the 5 best things, but that's one of the things that really jump out. The way it ended, it looks kind of good for the Sixers right now. The other thing in this is the overall mindset of the Sixers. This is now another turnover for the Sixers. This is another different creation of the team without James Harden. We've been through a lot of those recently, and each one promising a better outcome than the previous. And no matter what, whether it's Jimmy Butler, whether it's Ben Simmons, whether it's James Harden, every single change has been to achieve the better outcome. And as you, of course, don't need to be reminded, we have yet to see that. Still the same outcome. Bounced out early in the playoffs, bounced out in the second round of the playoffs. No championship, no conference finals. One time a slightly different outcome where a guy got an MVP award, and that was cool, but that was quickly ruined by a dreadful postseason run. And the guy that you had lost the NBA MVP to the 2 previous seasons winning a title. So, yeah, not great. Not great. Not great. But if there was one more positive to go back to with the James Harden situation is that I think a lot of young guys, when they come into the league, especially if you're not an egomaniac, like Maxey's not an egomaniac. Yeah, Tyrese Maxey's a great. Did you see yesterday? He just became essentially the guy to the guy instead of the guy who's the guy to the guy. He's no longer the assistant to the regional manager. Now he is the assistant regional manager. You understand what I'm saying? And you know what he did? He went out and he gave candy to kids for Halloween. Big event. Beautiful. Did you see the pictures of that? It was great. But a lot of times the young guys come into the league and they kind of need a veteran to, put their arm around them and just say, hey, you're good. Do you know how good you are? You're good, man. You need to get after it out there. You need to be more aggressive. And that's what he talked about. You just heard it there with James Harden, and how we talked about James Harden was that guy for him. He'd always been a confident player. But James Harden's influence and support helped him take it to the next level, the level he needed to be at if he was going to be an NBA all-star. So, and I think he's well on his way to doing that in the early goings of the season. 1 week, 3 games into the season, I think he's well on his way to doing it. But I think that is a positive to take out of this. The other thing is now where the team goes with this new makeup. And Tyrese Maxey channeled his inner Jalen Hurts, and here's what he had to say.
Group, this organization, this team, we've been keeping the main thing. So it's like, it's another step in the right direction, I guess. I mean, we've been playing together. Everything's been going well. The flow's been well. The organization's been great. The team believes in us. The coaches believe in us. So everything's going great.
Everything's going fantastic. Well, yeah, you're 2-1 on the season. You're already an Eastern Conference Player of the Week. And this team's only going to get better. And why are they only going to get better right now? Because of the 5 best things about this trade. I think that if you were to bring it into 1 point, it would be flexibility. And I hate that because it makes me think of optionality. But to go through it right now, go through 5 things here. Number 1, and this is from 5 to 1, bench help. If Marcus Morris isn't starting for you, hell of a guy to have coming off your bench. KJ Martin, not terrible. He's a guy who highlight reel dunks. Kenyon Martin was excited about his son coming to Philadelphia. Remember when we could watch Kenyon Martin with the Nets all those years? Pretty bonkers. Go back to those days. But your bench gets better, and your bench had already gotten better since last year. As we already know with the addition of Kelly Oubre, this bench has looked a lot better. Patrick Beverley coming off the bench for you. Love that. Marcus Morris and his snarl. You let a guy move on like P.J. Tucker. Absolutely. You bring in a little bit more snarl with Marcus Morris. That's number 5 on my top 5. After that, we're talking about cash, baby. We're talking about cash money. Cash money. The flexibility that gives you. Looking at next season, potentially 50, 65 million. That's a wide range. From Adrian Wojnarowski talking about what the Sixers will have to spend in free agency next year. You went to a PJ Tucker deal that was crippling and a James Harden deal crippling to getting expiring contracts. That is fantastic. And the Sixers now have fought their way out of salary cap hell. Now, let me say this. I don't like the scenario in, let's say, football, okay, where a quarterback can throw 5 interceptions in the first half and his team is losing. And then in the second half, he absolutely lights it up. You're like, oh, wow, so-and-so really helped you come back in this game. What an amazing comeback engineered by. I was like, no, they're part of the reason they were in that hole because of this guy. So if anything, forget about all the praise. He broke even at the end of the game. Daryl Morey and some of his trades and some of his spending have kind of led you into that. So I'm not about to deem Daryl Morey a genius generally right now and go, oh, he's a genius. But just judging this one move because of the cash and because of Daryl Morey helping you, putting you in the situation you were in. Oh, and also now having to dig yourself out of the James Harden scenario that, of course, Daryl Morey got you into. I'm not going to wave the pom-poms for Daryl Morey and be like, oh, it's something brilliant. No, but this is a very good trade. I love this trade. This trade is a great trade by Daryl Morey. This trade. So understand what I'm saying? Bench help, cash. Cash is great. Cash is king. Number 3 here. The Maxey growth is absolutely fantastic. And spoiler, it's number 1. And I told you yesterday it was number 1. But if it doesn't work out, if Tyrese Maxey improves, but not greatly improves, look at, I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches, this trade. Like this, it opens the window for you. It keeps it open, actually, with Joel Embiid, with Tyrese Maxey. And now if it doesn't work out with Maxey, point 3 here, if it doesn't work out with Maxey in terms of he doesn't grow to the spot that you thought he could, which I don't see. I see him doing it. But if he doesn't, you now have all these assets to go out there and get another star. Maybe you can go out there and get a guy like Zach LaVine. Maybe you can go out there and you can continue to add to this roster to your starting 5 with impact players. That will be a better fit. And maybe have a little bit of a better attitude around these parts, more so than a guy named James Harden. So that flexibility that comes in here is fantastic. Where if it doesn't work out, you have a little bit of a fail-safe here. Also on that note, and it bleeds into number 2, let's say that after this year, Joel Embiid is pissed off again. He doesn't not pissed off again, but he's pissed off. Philadelphia sucks. Everything sucks, and he wants to be moved on, and he gets to be courted by the Kings and told how great he is by other organizations that are going to try to trade for him here, and he's not sure about whether he wants to stay in Philadelphia. But also, let's say this. Let's say that this year ends with great optimism. Let's say that this year ends, even though I still think it ends the same way, bottom line, where you lose in the playoffs. But let's say where we actually see a playoff run by Joel Embiid where he looks fantastic from start to finish. He doesn't look beat down. He doesn't look unhealthy. He doesn't look like he's out of shape. He looks strong as hell. Let's say that happens. All the while, Tyrese Maxey is improving. And all of a sudden, oh, wait, hold on a second. One more year of this. Unlikely that we find ourselves in that situation. But let's just say that we want Joel Embiid back, and we don't want the Sixers to trade him for a Rudy Gobert haul and then some, okay? Let's say we want to keep the band together. And maybe Joel Embiid being courted by some other teams kind of, raises his eyebrows a little bit. What if he pulls a Giannis Antetokounmpo? Well, I'm not sure about that extension quite yet. You got to show me that we're going to be able to have guys around here that are going to help us win because I want to win a championship. The Sixers now have that embarrassment of riches. when it comes to first-round picks, second-round picks, and assets on the team right now, where they can flip those picks either now at the deadline or later in the event that Joel Embiid says, maybe I don't want to be here anymore. The Sixers can say, well, okay, we're going to take these 2 first-round picks. We're going to take these 2 second-round picks. We're going to take our second-round picks. And we're going to make sure that we get stars in here for you. All right, well, show me what we can do. Boom, Dame Lillard. That's just the example. Dame Lillard going to Milwaukee. Don't know what that move would be quite yet for the Sixers. But in the event that this season ends the way it has most of the time over the last 5 years, 6 years, the Sixers have enough assets right now to be able to change that in the very near future. If things go bottom up at the end of the year. I would say if the Sixers are bounced out in the second round again, because as I said yesterday, even as much as I like this trade, the Sixers are not there with the Celtics. The Sixers are not there with the Bucks just yet. I think they still need more. But with that being said, that means that they're a second-round exit again. So I would find it unlikely that after another second-round exit, we'd even want it all to stay together. But Tyrese Maxey is the guy keeping that door open. That's why the number one thing here, or the window open, that's why the number one thing here remains the room for Tyrese Maxey's growth. When I showed you all the list of everything that was brought back with this trade, the thing that's just not on that list because it's not a tangible thing, it's just, hey, Tyrese Maxey, your ceiling just got higher. Traded Harden, check. Tyrese Maxey grows. So far, so good. 3 games. And I have no reason to believe that he won't continue to get better as the season goes on. So those are my 5 things right there. When I look at the bench help, I look at the cash, I look at the flexibility, I look at the picks that come back, I look at Maxey's growth, I look at the fail-safe, the safety net. If Maxey doesn't get better, which again I doubt, you now have the ability to go out there. And now, by the way, better means if he doesn't get to the point of being that legit number 2, which I already think he's at, but he has to maintain it. Can't be a flash. He has to continue to improve. That he goes out there and he shows he can be that number 2 to Joel Embiid to help you win playoff games, to help you win and get out of that second round. The Sixers might still need to go out there and get more, and I think they do, but they're in a pretty great spot right now. Because here's the unknown. This isn't on the list, but this is just the unknown. I know what James Harden was going to do here. We all know what James Harden was going to do here. But if Tyrese Maxey's influence, not just necessarily Tyrese Maxey being a potential 30-point per game scorer for a season, it's not just that. It's about how Maxey is with the entire team and the influence it will be, what it'll be like to be Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, Kelly Oubre coming off the bench, Marcus Morris coming off the bench. It's going to be about what this entire team does. Nick Nurse is a head coach. Let's not forget that. It's going to be a very different field. Joel Embiid is now the clear-cut elder statesman. It's not responding to PJ Tucker on the court anymore. It's not responding to Jimmy Butler anymore. It's not James Harden's here too. It's not Ben Simmons is here too. This has never been more so Joel Embiid's team than it is right now. As a guy that's going to be looked at as a leader, that's a responsibility he's going to have to take. The leader. You can't be a leader on a team and having a guy like PJ Tucker in your ear trying to motivate you. He is a leader, but he's not the leader. Now he is the leader. Patrick Beverley obviously is going to be very vocal, as we all know. Marcus Morris isn't going to take any, Philly kid like him. And Tyrese Maxey being right there to do more than help at all, but carry it at times. I have never been more excited for the 76ers future than I am right now. I mean, if you go back to Allen Iverson, that was pretty exciting. But I have within the process, since the process started, is probably the best way to say this. Since the process started, I have never been more excited about what the Sixers have in front of them than I am right now. With the unknowns and all that, never more excited for what the future holds. Jimmy Butler, I was stoked. I was very excited. When Ben Simmons was supposed to be improving, oh man, I was really excited. But right now, I feel like there has been life breathed back into the 76ers and the 76ers fan base when it comes to this trade. Because for me, this doesn't make the window slam shut at the end of this year. It keeps it open. Not just because of Joel Embiid, but because of Tyrese Maxey. I got asked the question the other day about Joel Embiid and whether or not he's past his prime, his best days are behind him. And I don't think that's the case at all. I think what the person was trying to get to was choking in the playoffs. And that can't be denied. He's choked in the playoffs, of course. But in terms of his best days, I think Joel Embiid is in his best days. I think Joel Embiid will be in his best days for another year or two. But even as those skills start to diminish and he has to become maybe more of a traditional center, not necessarily a back-to-the-basket 1990s center, no, but just a little bit more of that. As that happens, you see Tyrese Maxey continue to grow. And then whatever these picks are able to bring you down the line, I think this team, and when I say down the line, I don't mean waiting for 2027 and waiting for 2028 to make first-round draft picks. I mean flipping them now to get assets now, to get talent now, players that are ready to go and help you win now. If you add all that to the mix, then this team's window, it remains open. It remains open. So that's what I'm looking forward to when I think about this Sixers team. And that's why I'm so damn excited about what they have to offer. Let me tell you right now something else I'm excited about. That's the great people at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. If you found a $100 bill on the ground, you want to walk past it, right? So why are you passing up on cashing winners every weekend with MyBookie? MyBookie has the biggest online selections of odds and contests to fill all your sports betting needs anytime, anywhere. So you could turn that sports knowledge you have into cash, cold hard cash in your wallet. Bet on the NFL, MLB playoffs going on right now as well. That postseason, maybe one game left to get involved in that. Maybe more. Doubt it. Probably just one. But you got cash prizes in weekly blackjack tournaments as well. All with MyBookie. If you've been waiting for the right time to get in on all the action, that time is now. Make your winning move today. Sign up at MyBookie and use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy and claim your deposit match redeemable up to $1,000. What? Now $1,000. Sign up at MyBookie. Use promo code Farzy. Again, that's promo code Farzy to claim your bonus. Experience the thrill of sports betting right from the comfort of your home. Bet on anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Let's get into the chat check and see how you wonderful people are doing on this fine morning. Looking over at Jacob. What's up, Jacob people? You beautiful people. What happens to Jeff Kerr and Good Morning NFC East? Oh. They're not doing the show anymore. Jeff Kerr is still a friend of the channel. Jeff Kerr is still a friend of mine. But yeah. He's doing fine. Kenneth Gainwell, start me. No, I don't think I will. Kenny. Not going to happen. Show me that you're not going to fumble the football, and then we'll talk. That's how we'll do it. Going over to the Farzy Show page as soon as humanly possible. There we go. What's up, everybody? Nice to see yous. Sean Gillespie, what's going on? Sean Kilrain. Mike Fuji, what's going on? Good morning, Mark, folks. Happy hump day. There's something. Hey, by the way, I know every year I have to wait for someone to tell me, but Saturday is the clock's thing. Whatever it is, I think we go back. Yeah, we set the clocks back, so we think we gain an hour. We gain an hour of sleep on Saturday into Sunday. So enjoy that. Travis, what's up, man? Pass defense will get better against Dak. He'll throw 2 picks. I'd love to see it. Sean Kilrain, Howie can't hold on to these bundle of picks we have. Come draft time, Howie will be willing to deal on the picks. Like, again, here's the thing. 2 things I take away from my conversations with parents yesterday while people are trick-or-treating, while the kids are trick-or-treating. 2 things I take away. I can't believe that there are people that are like, how did Howie not do anything? And I'm like, we're fine. Eagles are fine. If I told you they got Kevin Byard yesterday, as opposed to early last week, you're excited. Deadline day came and went, and he didn't do anything. That's fine. The week leading up to it, he made moves. He made 2 moves. The Katavius Street move. The Katavius Street move is curious to me because why would you free up a roster spot? Why would you move on from a pick unless you thought another deal was coming? So it makes me think that the Eagles were in on some other deal, and they were close, but lost out on it. Whether that was defensive back, whether that was a defensive end, whatever it might have been, an edge rusher, whatever the case may be. They were in on something and lost out. And that's not something we hear too much about Howie Roseman. That was one thing, is that people were upset that no moves were made. I'm fine. The other thing was the Sixers. People had optimism. It wasn't all doom and gloom anymore. People were excited for the future. And I haven't heard that in a long time with the Sixers. It felt like it's been a long time. Mally, what's up, Mally? Smoke, got him. Happy November, 61 days until 2024. Mihai, really? I'm not one that looks forward to the end of the year. I'm just like, all right, I guess not gonna. You know why? And this is the God's honest truth. I got to remember that it's 24 and not 23 anymore. I got to be like, oh, writing it down. No, typing it out. Oh, nope, wrong date. But yes, if you're a November person, happy November. Sean Gillespie, good enough. Oh, got enough of these Cowboys fans here already. Met an actual reasonable one last week. Amazing. Sean, they exist in the wild? What? Again, I will say that the Cowboys fans that live here, the vast majority of them know. They're not going to the lake. They're not going down there. Are you nuts? They know not to go. The ones, but the Cowboys fans from Dallas, they don't travel. I mean, I'm sure some of them do. Every football fan travels. Every fan base has people that will travel to games. But in terms of bus loads of people, in terms of stadium takeovers that the Eagles have done, the Steelers have done, who else was it? The Falcons did it. What, 3 years ago at FedEx Field? Remember that? That was bonkers. Acquisition of Byard is going to help later on the season. You watch, the guy has a lot of versatility. I agree. No, I'm with it. Micah Parsons just hoping and praying and wishing. IBH, I agree. Parsons wishes he was an Eagle. Mally, I agree. How could you not? The Sean Gillespie bandwagon fan base never understood what possible joy you can have with a team you have no connection to. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Here's what I tell people that I meet as Cowboys fans. And if we really get into it, first off, I try to avoid the conversation already. But usually this is how it happens. I'll be at a social gathering. I'll be at a party. I'll be out with friends, whatever. And all of a sudden they'll be like, oh, yeah, this is my boy over here. He's a Cowboys fan. And I'll, say the typical, oh, what part of Dallas you from? And they'll be like, oh, actually, I'm from Bryn Mawr. Oh, you're from Bryn Mawr. So here's the peak, and I don't lead with this. If they start talking, you know what, then I'll respond. But it's like here, if you're a bandwagon fan, here is the height of your fandom. Ready? Your bandwagon team wins the game. Yay! That's the height, and you're alone. You look around, you're all alone. Your family doesn't like you. They're annoyed with you. It's like your children are in their Eagles jerseys going, why? Why did you do this to us? Why did you do this to us? So that's the height of your fandom. But if you're a fan of your hometown team, then the height of your fandom is 2 million people on the Parkway at the Art Museum steps. That's the height of your fandom. Yay! By yourself or crowd surfing, climbing trees, taking the grease off yourself from the poles that you just climbed. That's the height of your fandom. Oh, and it's 2 days of that, by the way. It's the night they win, and it's the day they have the parade. There's 2 occasions. Party on Broad Street when they win. Party down Broad Street, up the Parkway, up Broad Street, up the Parkway to the Art Museum when they win. It's a beautiful thing. Because I really didn't think about it. I was like, what's the appeal? What's the appeal? And I've told you guys this before. Like when I was a kid, when I was little, I liked the Eagles, and I also liked the New York Giants. And then I got a little older, and I was like, oh, what's a division? Ooh, that's not good. Ooh, okay. And then I thought, I was like, can I be a Giants? Can I really be a Giants fan? I was like, no, I can't be a Giants fan. And I was like, but this Eagles team, this Randall Cunningham guy, I really like this Randall Cunningham guy. And then boom, Eagles fan. Because I didn't want to jump up and down. I didn't have to drive 2.5 hours to like North Jersey. And I'm like, what's North Jersey? Anyway, they're not even New York. They're just Philadelphia. 1,000%. I blame that the fact that there was even a decision to be made on bad parenting. My parents stood me the right direction so many different ways as a kid that they just left me alone when it came to when it came to sports. Just left me to my own devices, which isn't good because then you start playing Joe Montana football. That's right, not John Madden. Joe Montana football for Sega Genesis, and the Giants are a really good football team. You really you discover a guy named Dave Meggett, and you like him for whatever reason. And at the same time, you're discovering Randall Cunningham, and you really like him for a lot of reasons. And you're in the Philadelphia area, you can't divert. Can't divert. Sean Kilrain. Bring it on, Sweat. Micah Parsons, 43 pressures, 6 sacks, 9 hits, 28 hurries. Josh Sweat, 40 pressures, 5.5 sacks, 9 hits, 25 hurries. Here's the interesting thing. Micah Parsons is a hell of a football player, and yes, those numbers don't dictate that. I mean, even though I think Josh Sweat's never going to get Defensive Player of the Year considerations. But the thing with Micah Parsons is, as good as he is, he ain't that good against the Eagles. I was talking about yesterday with Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson loves the Micah Parsons game. And then he got to go to the other side of Jordan Mailata. He's having a nice year. Yeah, good luck to you. Good luck to you. Stats are identical, so bring on the Cowboys. Don't disagree. Any team in the NFC East is dangerous, especially late in the season when you have time to correct mistakes. Sean, I like you. I'm going to disagree with you, though. I am not concerned about the Giants. I'm talking about competing for the division. The Giants, no way. The Commanders, obviously, you don't have to face again. They don't. I told you before the season, I told you this the last 2 years, the Washington Commanders are going to be annoying. It doesn't have the same juice that the Giants or the Cowboys have, but the Washington Commanders are going to be annoying. And looky what we have here. An overtime win, annoying. And then you still have to come back from, what was it, 17-7? 17-3? 17-10, excuse me, at halftime. You still got to come back from that. Annoying. Anything in the end, and last year you lost to him. Mally, I love Harden too. Loved watching him get traded. I saw a Halloween costume yesterday where the kid was dressed up like James Harden, and the kid he had a suitcase that said traded. And his mom said, well, he wanted to be James Harden for Halloween, but now, you got to update the costume, got to update the act. I said, you're the greatest mom ever. You're the greatest mom ever. You win. No kid wins Halloween like you won Halloween, Mom. Sean Kilrain, glad to hear that Maxey, hopefully his Harden loser mentality didn't rub off on him. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it did. Maxey's just a cool dude, man. I swear some of the Eagles defense looked like Homer Simpson during the bodyguard training last week, during his bodyguard training. That's hilarious. April, morning, April. Jalen finally gets to play Dallas. Unlike last year, Hurts is going to bring it. I concur. Sean Kilrain, Dak is whack. Love it. He'll go from 8-3 to 8-4. Defenses. His record against the Eagles, yeah. Sean Kilrain, what's happening? IBH, Travis, what's up, Travis? I became an Eagles fan when I first saw football. It was the Eagles signing Michael Vick? Really? Oh, that's true. IBH, that's true. By moving on from Katavius Street, that opens up a roster spot for Cam Jurgens, who's eligible to come off IR this week. So yeah, that's one thing Howie did. Howie making them Howie moves. Let me check over at Farzy or the other page. Bonkers Dallas week. Charles dead. What's up? Wemby last night dresses up like Slender Man and stunned the Suns. Yeah, what was it? 115, 114 last night? With the Suns losing. That's pretty crazy. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Not a lot, unfortunately, for us today. World Series, blah, blah, blah. Not a lot going on there. Rangers going to win that. Sixers back at it tomorrow. All that fun stuff. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. Much appreciate it. Oh, wait. No, there's one more thing. Okay. Yeah, I do have it here. All right. According to Chris Hayes of Bleacher Report and TNT, so the NBA, again, just loves to investigate the 76ers. The NBA did have an investigation where they investigated the 76ers potentially for violating the new player participation policy by holding James Harden out of a nationally televised game, and they have concluded no penalty is going to be issued, according to league sources. So the Sixers, for holding Harden out of the Bucks game for the season opener, the NBA apparently was investigating as to whether or not they were doing that because James Harden, they were holding him out because they were about to trade him. If there was ever a time to not enforce anything, it would be right around the time you're supposed to trade a player, which is obviously what was going down there with the Sixers. So that's probably why they deemed it no violation. But the Sixers can't do anything without being investigated. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This show is brought to you by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Make sure you check out all they have to offer and also use promo code Farzy at mybookie.ag. Also, Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com, and the great people at PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. Jim Hyde, producer program, did a wonderful job. My name is Mark Farzy. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow morning. See you then.